Hello, hello, everyone. I see some of you are already in the chat. That's always so super exciting. And welcome to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today, we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, available on 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Please be sure and join us in one of the various chat rooms. We are streaming practically all over social media, Rumble and everywhere else. So do that and be able to connect with our wonderful guests today. I'm so excited for this conversation. This is like right up my alley. I love these discussions. And tonight we're diving into one of the strangest patterns reported in the world of paranormal, something that shows up again and again in historical records, ghost investigations, and even in experiences of construction workers and homeowners. It's the curious phenomenon of paranormal activity that seems to begin when building is disturbed, particularly during renovations or construction. Across the world, people have reported strange events after opening up walls, tearing up old floors, or uncovering long hidden spaces. And workers have even heard footsteps in empty rooms, stories of tools being removed when no one is nearby, cold spots appear where there is no one before. So in some cases, entire families have been experiencing unexplained sounds, shadow figures, or even objects moving on their own shortly after renovation work begins. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. I think we're going to dig into that today. There are things like environmental changes that can happen in buildings, or could the disturbance of structures of an old home somehow awaken something that has been quiet for decades or even centuries? To explore this mystery today, I'm joined by author and researcher Wayne Mallows. Through his work, he has studied historical accounts and modern reports of paranormal activity connected to construction, restoration, and the uncovering of hidden parts of buildings. He was asked to create a believable vampire character, and not only did he comply, but his character would later become his personal persona and thrive as the main character of his Vampyre Tales book series. His books have been taking vampire fans on a journey of their own, leaving a trail of rave reviews and one award thus far, and that is only the beginning. So let me welcome Wayne. Always a blessing.
Thank you. I'm blushing.
Truth makes us blush sometimes.
My goodness. How do I live up to that? Wowzers. Nice to see you.
Great to see you too. And everyone in the chat, look at this. We've got a bunch of people. You've got a fan base. You know that.
Yeah, they're wonderful. Thank you, everybody.
Patsy, of course, Heidi, our soul sister, our star sister. Always a pleasure to see her. Who else do we have here? Kiara, driving and listening. Yes, that's good. Always be safe. Who else do we have? Mish, always a blessing to see you. And the one and only Hillbilly Herb. Such a blessing, honestly, to have these people. Who else do we have? Of course, Michelle. Hugs and love to you. Always, always, always. Who else do we have? And of course, as people pop in, we will. Oh, Carrie, another star sister, of course. So great to see you. As people pop in, we will, of course, say hello to them. We love our fans. Wayne, before we dig into this topic, let me get your banner up and running here in case folks want to find out where they can learn more about your books and all about you and so on and so forth.
Sure.
And that's as easy as waynemallows.com.
Yeah.
Before we dig in, I heard through the grapevine that you had an NDE of your own. Oh, can't hear you. Try talking now.
There. How's that?
Ah, there we go. Yep.
I don't
Perfect.
know what's
Perfect.
going on. I keep getting an echo and everything now.
Oh,
Is that better?
really?
No, it's gone now. It's okay. I'm okay.
Okay, because you sound good to me.
Okay, that's good. When you're doing your intro, I couldn't hear you at all, and I had everything was okay here. Like, and then all of a sudden, I just got a red warning saying that the mic was off, but I haven't touched anything. I dare not.
Well, that's technology, you know.
Yeah,
You know how that goes.
definitely.
There's a ghost in the machine, as they
Somewhere,
say.
somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah. But I
Yeah.
think everybody could hear us now, so we're not going to touch a thing.
No.
Um, so as I said, I had heard before we dig into this topic that I find absolutely intriguing, and I know you've talked about this before on other shows,
Sure.
but we're gonna look at it really intensely today. But before we do that, I'd heard that you had an NDE, and I am
Mm.
fascinated with them. I've had so many guests on talking about them, and I would love to hear yours if you wouldn't mind indulging us.
Nope, nope, not at all. It's a long time ago now, but it was back then I was working outside. I was doing a lot of repair work for the phone company and in and out of houses, and you meet all kinds of people anyway. At that particular time in the city, there was a meningitis scare going around, and everybody was sick, and you had to be really careful. And of course, I got sick, and he's I I went to a walk-in clinic. You know, I feel like crap, right? Sort of thing. So what do we do, right? And they said, oh, you've got a little bit of a fever, but if it gets worse, you know, go directly to the hospital. Like, do not come to a walk-in clinic, right? Okay, fine, fair enough. Told the boss I'm going home, and he wasn't happy. But anyway, home I went. I got home, got changed. I just lay down, sleep it off because it's how I do things. And I woke up a couple hours later, and man, I was burning up, like burning
Oh,
up, huge, right? I'm like, all right, so I was hopping a cold shower, rinse all that off, and see how I feel in a few minutes, right? And it got progressively worse. So I'm like, okay, well, off I go, down to the hospital. And typical hospital, it's like, well, if you have got a knife in your heart, then you're going to wait, which is understandable.
yeah.
And so I'm waiting my turn, and like I had such a bad headache. It was like I had an axe right through my forehead. It was just splitting my head like this way. And I'd never had that sort of a headache before.
Mhm.
This is terrible. So, I'm a very patient, polite person. So I just wait and wait and wait and wait. Finally, I'm just like, I got to figure out what's going on. So I get up and I go to the little window, and I'm like, hi, I know you're busy. Like, is there an ETA on this? Cause like I'm dying. Like I feel horrible. And she was nice. She's like, probably 20 more minutes. We had an emergency come in, and whatever, it's fine. Turning around and walk back to my seat, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm just going sideways because the whole room is starting to do
Oh,
this.
jeez.
So I'm trying to keep my balance in a room that feels like it's spinning on its side, and next thing you know, I'm not there anymore. So I don't remember hitting the floor. I don't remember if I hit the chairs. No recollection of that at all. But I'm next thing I know, I'm not there anymore at all. I'm in this really dark space, and I'm trying to figure out like what happened. Like, are my eyes closed? Like, am I on the floor? Like, what? Like, my mind is still like I'm in the hospital, right? But it's just like, so I start to look around. I'm trying to like figure out what's happening, and I realize that I'm in an old sailing ship, like a big three-masted, kind of thing that Christopher Columbus sailed in. That to get the audience an idea of what was going on. It's not a sailboat, you know what I mean? It's a big kind of sailing galleon kind of deal, right? And I'm like, oh, that's different. I'm hallucinating. That's good. So I look around me, and if anybody's ever seen the old fishermen where they wear those big black rain hats and the big rain slickers on, and everybody's like in the lower part of the ship, because then not under the deck, but on top. The back is up high and the front is up high, and then there's this little section in the middle, which is lower, right? So
Mhm.
anyway, that's fine. I'm looking around, and we're all dressed like this. We're all facing the front of the ship, and it's raining and it's storming, and the waves are like over the ship. But the thing
Mhm.
about it, Carolyn, was the ship just stayed steady. Like it wasn't
Mhm.
doing this, right? It was just
Yeah.
dead straight, right? So I'm cool. Okay, here we go. And I look where we're going, because I'm like totally cognizant of what's happening. Like I'm not
Mm,
dreamy, I have weight to my body, like the water on my face, I can feel it. And it's not like floaty. And there's this light coming towards the ship, and it's like a lighthouse up on a cliff. I can see this lighthouse. And it's just a beam, it's not sweeping, it's just a beam of light that comes right over the top of the ship. And I'm just like, wow. So I kind of look, where's it going? Kind of thing like this, right? And in those ships, the captain or the pilot of the ship was on the back because the,
mm,
the, the steering wheel was on the back because the ropes went straight down through the deck to the rudder. No hydraulics, no electrics. So I look back there, and there is a guy holding the wheel at sort of 10 and 2 kind of deal, right? And he's in a big shroud, like a dark shroud, with a hood up, like a hoodie. And that light went right into his face. Like I couldn't see his face at all, her
mm.
face. But it was a boop right in there. I'm just like, oh, wow, holy cow. Am I dead? This is like, what's going on? I was like completely like, this doesn't make any sense. And yet I can feel everything. I can feel it all. And I'm trying to, go through the motions of where was I? Where am I? How did I get here? Where are we going? Why isn't physics happening? Why isn't the ship doing this? And I'm doing this. And in my right ear, I hear a woman's voice, female voice, very calm, very gentle. And she says to me, she goes, do you want to stay or do you want to go? Just
Oof.
like that. And I didn't answer. Like I didn't formulate a, well, yes. There was
Mm,
nothing, right? I thought about my kids. My kids were young. They were like a year and 2.5, let's say, somewhere in there. And that was it. As soon as I thought about them, not like I'm going to leave them or I'm going to come back to them, I just thought about them. And it was like, boom, I'm back in the hospital, and there's white lights on me, and there's everybody running around, and there's noise, and I'm in so much pain again, and my head is going to explode. And the first thing I heard that I registered beyond all the beeping and the cacophony of noise and footsteps and wheels and was this sort of a heavier female voice going, I got a pulse.
oh, jeez.
That's the first thing I heard registered, right? And then the second thing I heard another woman say, because I guess my eyes were open at this point, but I don't remember seeing her. And she kind of chuckled and she says, how can someone have such big veins like you have, but nothing in them? And I'm just, just guess they were trying to get a needle in or something. Couldn't get anything. I don't know. But I remember coming sort of more cognizant of my own self. And I remember asking the young woman beside me, I said, can you please give me something for the pain? I was like, my head is going to split in half. And she goes, we will, but we just got to make sure you're stable. The doctor's got to look at you, and then we definitely will. So that was it. And things kind of calmed down after a while. They wheeled me out of whatever room I was in and went to another room. And a young man came in and said, he said, how you feeling? And I said, terrible. I didn't say it quite like that, but it was terrible. And he's looking at me. He goes, well, you're coming out of it now. He says, you're probably just dehydrated. He goes, you're really dehydrated.
Yeah.
And he says that's just you got a bit of a flu bug. There's nothing major wrong with you. You're fine. But it's just a combination of the flu and the dehydration just kicked your butt. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, that's all. So he's looking at his chart and stuff. And I said, real talk. I said, did I die? Just like that. And he looked at me, he goes, no. Why would you say such a thing? I just like, because man, I had an experience, okay, and I wasn't here. And he goes, well, it's all in your head because you were here and you didn't die, right? We'd have to report that if you did. I'm like, pretty sure it did.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's my experience. No fluffy going to the light pretty. It was not nice. It was pretty dark, but it was like that voice was very calm, very soothing, very friendly. There was
Yeah.
a light, but all around it was pretty pretty catastrophic.
When that was obviously years ago, because you said your kids were little,
Oh,
right?
vandal, yeah.
So since that happened, did you ever have any other flashbacks about that event, or has it pretty much been the same story, like just repeating in your head?
Yep, just the same one. It never changes. Like, it doesn't rent space in my head. Like, I don't, I'm not like today, I'm not sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I remember that time." I
Yeah.
never did that. If somebody asks me about it, it's crystal clear. I don't have to kind of like, "Oh yeah, how did that go again?" It's like, boom, it's right there. It happened like this and this and this and this and this and this and this. It was never kind of like, I don't have to dredge it up.
Now, prior to your NDE, did
Mhm.
you grow up? I mean, obviously, I've heard many of your tales on social media on this platform talking about
Mhm.
them. But did you ever grow up with any other paranormal events in your life? Obviously, these things appear in your life for a reason. Even your books, the inspiration for writing the Vampyre Tales. So when you were little, were you affected at all by anything paranormal in your house, maybe, or
Yeah.
members?
My middle sister, like, they're both older than me, but the middle sister, I always called her my witchy sister. She was groovy, put it that way. You know what I mean? She did all the things I just was amazed with. And my other sister is beautiful and wonderful, but she was very business minded. Whereas
Mm.
my other sister was just like, I always called her, if autumn was real, it would be my sister, because she
Oh,
was she was like the forest
a
and
free
the
spirit.
trees. Yep,
Yeah.
totally. So she was really cool with that, but they were gone. Like, they'd moved out by the time I was 4. So I didn't really have a point of reference for any of that stuff. Um, Paranormal stuff, it's not like ghosts and things like that going on in my house. We had lived in a sort of lower middle class, you know, neighborhood house. But things I noticed, like, that disappeared by the time I was 7. Like, I liked sleeping in a dark room. I always had a really dark, like, windows closed, everything dark. I didn't need light, nothing like that. It was just perfect. And and I remember, if there was a noise in the room, even now, like, if I hear a noise in the house, even
Yeah.
Michelle will say this, she'll look at me and I'll be like, "Oh, that's whatever it is, right? It's the furnace, it's the pipes, it's blah 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 blah, whatever it is." But if it's not, she goes, how do you know?" I said, "'Cause I wouldn't be here if it was if I couldn't identify it, gone looking for what it is, right?" And that's whether I'm sleeping or not. But when I was young, up to about the age of 7, if there was a noise in my room or anywhere in the house and I heard it, even when I'm asleep, when I opened my eyes, the whole room was awash in like an electric blue light,
Mm.
and there was no shadows. It was instantaneous, but in that instantaneous moment, I could see everything in my room with crystal clarity. So if there was like the boogeyman or somebody in my room, I would see that person instantly.
Yeah.
And it was just like boom, bam, boom, clear. And I would go back to sleep. Never fearful at all. Never. When I was 4, you probably heard me tell that. My parents were from England. They were my dad was Navy, my mom was Army. They lived through the war, and they were nice, but they were harsh. They were staunch, right? And when they came here, and my godparents were just like, "Well, he's got to have a birthday party," and my parents were like, "Why?" Like, yeah, got a roof over his head. He's got food in his tummy. Why does he need a birthday? Right? They just no clue, right? So anyway, they got convinced to have a birthday, and I had a birthday party, and it was. I know it was before 5 because 5 I went to school, right? So I would say it was probably my 4th birthday, and people were over. There was adults, there was kids, and we were all having a really good time. And a cake was coming. I hadn't had it yet. It was just like, this is amazing. This is so cool. This isn't slave labor. I like this. And I can remember jumping around in the room with my friends, sort of other little kids that I didn't really know. And I remember stopping, and the music's going, and it's just everyone's happy. And I stopped in the middle of the room, and I went like this. And I looked at my hands, and in my mind, it was just horror, like complete horror.
Oh,
And I went, "I'm a child." My God,
No,
I'm a child. And I passed out.
no.
Yeah, dropped out, boom, gone. Don't remember anything. Woke up in my bedroom, everybody's gone. My parents are just like, "What's going on?"
I mean, you passed out?
Yeah, passed right out, dropped on the floor like a log, bam. But I remember just that whole jumping around and feeling great and then looking at my hands and like, "Oh my God, these are children's hands. I'm a child. Oh my God, I'm a child again."
Wow, that's
And
mind-blowing.
yeah, so that was that, and after that,
Yeah.
everything wasn't quite right after that. You know?
Well, how old were you when that happened? 4 or 5?
4, under 5, so it was my birthday, so it had to be my 4th birthday party. 4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense for a 4-year-old.
Oh, tell
Yeah,
me about
that's
it.
yeah.
Like, honestly, the stuff that I mean, I was sheltered. I was a sheltered kid, right? Like, it was like we didn't have a TV at that point in our life, and we did, it was black and white. It came in much later in my world, you know what I mean? It was the '60s, like, they just emigrated from England in '57, so I was
Yeah.
born in '63, so there wasn't a big gap in there. So I didn't know a lot of things that, kids my age who born and raised in Canada might know, whereas I didn't, right? And I can remember a story that my babysitter told me, like, many like, when I'm like a teen, many years later, he's talking, he lived across the road, and he's quite a bit older, great guy, super guy, and just adored this man. And he said, he said, "You went to bed just like normal, everything was cool." And he said, "Then I heard you screaming." And
Mm.
he said, I came bolting in because, I just don't know what's going on. I'm 16 years old and you're screaming. It's like, oh my God, what's happened, right? In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, you fell out of bed and hit your face or something like that. And he goes, "I came in, I grabbed you out of bed and I sat you up and I said, 'Are you all right? What's going on?' And you were holding your stomach and you were like rocking and it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts." That's all you kept saying, right? So I got you out of bed, I brought you into the kitchen and I sat you in your chair, right? And then the lights are on. And he goes, "I pulled up your shirt, right, to see if I could see anything." And he goes, "You had welts across your stomach this way,
Oh,
and on your back, you had the same line across your back." What was happening in my dream as I was running from what I didn't know what I was running from, but it was a dinosaur. It was a two-legged bipedal dinosaur that its mouth came over me like that and
oh,
bit
geez.
me in half.
Oh
And
my
that's when I woke
gosh.
up screaming, but I had no idea what a dinosaur was. I had no idea of reptiles or prehistory, nothing. And when I went to grade school, I was in grade 1, and they had those slide reel projectors. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you forwarded them
Absolutely,
like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
So I was in there and they started this thing. They started rotating along, and all of a sudden, boop, there's a tyrannosaur on the screen. And I was like, "Bop!" I jumped out of my chair. I ran out of the school. I ran all the way home. And my dad was at home. He worked shift work, and he was as understanding as a violent thing could ever be. "What are you doing at home? Why are you at school? My God, what's happening?" Grab me, throw me in the car, take me all the way back to school, talk to the principal, talk to the teacher. I'm bawling, like I'm just freaking because I just saw the thing that ate me. Hmm, No explanation.
So, obviously, the veil's pretty thin around you
I don't know.
since
It used to
yeah,
be.
Karen made a statement that I just showed that maybe, you are a medium and, especially after your he's saying no. Especially after your NDE. I mean, we all know how they affect people in very many different ways. Maybe
Mm.
it touched you and, made the veil even thinner for you, Wayne.
Possibly. I mean, I've heard about people having NDEs and coming back like, super gifted. I mean, Michelle and I watch different shows together on this sort of thing and just, to entertainment and for like knowledge. But I always joke, it's just like, "Look, she came back, she can see the future. This guy came back and he's a savant, he can write music. And this guy came back and I came back and I'm just me." Like, what happened? How did I get shortchanged? So,
I don't know. It's interesting because I've been in touch with people that have had extraordinary powers and deny them. And they're just in denial of it. They're like, "Oh no, that's not me." And then once they begin a layer of acceptance, things start to change for them. So I don't know, maybe just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a, time for you to accept some of that.
yeah. It's some. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but I mean, like when I watch people who have the gift, it's just like it's almost like a light switch. Dink, it's on, dink, it's
Yeah.
off. And I can't. When something happens to me, I'm aware of it. Like I'm like, oh yeah, this is a thing. They're few and far between, and I can't control it. It just happens. Like I mean, I've had experience with my father showing up in the construction stuff. And he was a master carpenter when he was in England. They used to build the truck bodies. Back when they were made of wood. It's going back a ways.
Yeah.
But he was so talented with wood. He just blew my mind, right? But I've had experiences with him and things like that. And I've heard spirits talk and stuff like that. But it's just like, to say like, I can, open the door and I can see things at will. No.
Yeah.
When I wrote my books, I always said it wasn't me that wrote it. As I was just
Yeah,
a
I
thing. I
remember
was
during the
just the
interview.
fingers. Yeah, just the
Yeah.
fingers.
Yeah, and some of that was so intense. I remember part of that, you said you went outside in the rain or bad weather with your laptop and you
Yeah,
sat there for days, like
yeah.
so, like I said, I think that for a lot of us, the veil is just thinner. And I think allowing us that acceptance it's like a big thing to do, just to say, okay, but it's good. You said you do admit that when these things are happening.
Sometimes.
And yeah, maybe it's just meant to be that they appear when they appear.
Yeah.
I mean, my life has been like that too. They just happen when they happen. And I'm usually pretty grateful for the moments, even the ones that aren't so pleasant,
Yeah.
because they always seem to have a lesson.
Well, they
And
do. I
yeah.
mean, Michelle will take me to places and she'll be like, "What do you feel in here?" I'm like, "Nothing." She's like, "Just think about it." I'm like, "Okay. How about now?" Nothing.
Yeah.
She's just like, "Wow, I can't believe you can't feel that." I'm just like, "No." It's just
Yeah.
so I don't know if they'll feel things differently. It's how it is. I mean, what you said earlier about everything's a lesson. I mean, I think I'm grateful is a strong word, but like for all the nonsense that happened in my life through my life, and it like, I mean, I hate to say I had a hard life because there's people out there that have it so much worse.
Yes.
But it was
Yes.
a tough go. It was a really tough go for a
Yeah.
lot of it, but it allowed me to create to write with such feeling and empathy and depth, which I could never have done if I had not experienced, that kind of trauma, that kind of, that kind of negativity, that hopelessness. I would have been able to put that into words because you can't unless you've been through it.
Exactly.
Mm,
Yeah. And and it's funny because I always think now, as we age, wisdom really does come like a shoe stomping on your head. But I never discount my pain in my
mm,
life anymore, because I was always doing that too, Wayne, going, "Oh, people have it so much worse." And that's
mhm.
true,
Yeah,
but they're not you, and they don't know how deeply you feel, and what level your pain went. So there is a lesson in all of it. And I think that just realizing that is a blessing too.
it
Instead of
is.
complaining and moaning about it, just look at it as a lesson. But
What I
so, okay, yeah, go ahead.
what I tell people is it's like, if if you cut your finger on a piece of glass or even a paper cuts sting like son of a gun, right? And
Oh, yeah,
then someone says, "Well, this guy has in a car accident, he lost his leg."
yeah.
Like, my cut still hurts. You know what
Right.
I mean? I feel bad for this guy now, and now I've got double pain,
Yeah,
so I'm feeling bad for the guy that's lost his leg. But
right, right.
my cut is still hurting. It doesn't diminish that. My mom used to drive me crazy with that stuff because she'd be like, "Well, there's other people in the world that got it worse than you."
Oh,
Great,
yeah,
great. Like, I'm still hurting. And when I
right,
tell
exactly.
people, it's so difficult because I got a really bad scar on my knee, and if I pull out my pant leg, I can tell you what the temperature was that day. where I
Yeah.
was, what I was wearing, everything. And I can look at it and it all comes back. But
Oh,
with,
yeah.
with abusive scars, like the emotional stuff, you
Yeah.
can't go to your friend and go, look, look
Right.
at my scar. You can't see it. And it's a lonely journey.
It is. And that's why, like, shadow work, we're always talking about that, especially on this network. It's so important because through that, you can move forward with your own healing process. And it's
Mhm,
something that we as humans should be doing every day, each and every one of us.
mhm,
So, like, pick something that hurts and just kind of work through it somehow. Like, I talk to myself all the time out loud.
mhm.
And my dog, poor baby, he thinks I'm talking to him. So he's always like looking at me. But, it's so important to work stuff out.
It
So,
is.
like, people believe in therapy, and that's fabulous, and others don't. My husband was like that. He refused, any form of therapy. And he used to think depression is for sissies, like, because he was that kind of macho Italian dude.
Mhm,
Me, like, I would run to therapy the minute, something bothered me. So, with that being said, and equating that to pain, we all experience different levels of pain. Never discount your pain,
mm.
validate it, and then just move past it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think, like, I was in therapy for eons. My whole family was in therapy
Good
for
for you.
eons, you know? But, what I find now, and I'm hoping that is the case, is that, like, I had a great therapist, man. She was so good. She went beyond the normal, like, you know what I mean? But not so far beyond the normal where I needed her to go, so she helped me. Whereas with Michelle, like, I'd done all the groundwork up to the point of meeting Michelle, but she took it the step further and started to introduce me to, like, the other things that are beyond the physical realm, that are
Mm,
dining out on my negative energy every single time. And they're going to
yeah.
keep pushing my buttons to get that food source, which
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, in real therapy, they don't talk about that. The one lady I went to see, I basically said, yeah, she goes, well, how do you feel? I said, well, I feel God hates me and he's got a
Oh,
personal vendetta to get me and basically picks on me daily. And she looked at me, she goes, you don't really believe that, do you? And I'm like, okay, okay, just don't, I'll be in a rubber room in a minute if I keep talking like this. So I'm like, no, I'm just talking metaphorically, I'm just having a bad day. Right. So,
yeah.
oh, okay, okay, this is good to hear. But that's where a lot of people end up going because they start talking about the greater outside that's affecting them and they feel it affecting them, but the establishment's like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those are great points. And it's just interesting because I've been hearing so much about folks that are going through this awakening, as they call it, right?
Yep.
And for people like us and so many people in the chat and people listening, it's a very painful process to go through.
Hmm.
So, and folks that have had paranormal experiences as children, as adults, they've been in that process since. That, like,
Hmm.
kickstarts things. So,
Hmm.
and pain through that becomes a very real thing. And it's, I think people like that feel it so much more intensely
Hmm.
and just, it just has a different meaning for them than for a lot of other people. They talk about NPCs, these people without souls. I don't know, non-player characters as they're called, but anyone that's lived a life that involves the paranormal or the thinning of the veil, whatever you want to call it, they're different creatures than a lot of other folks. So
Hmm.
even like your friend network, your family, they don't understand you and have a difficult time connecting with you. And then the first thing you want to do is attack yourself and blame yourself by
Sure.
saying, God hates me, he has it in for me, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's all part and parcel to that. So your dad was a master
Carpenter.
um, carpenter.
Yeah.
So you learned from a master,
Oh
and
yeah.
obviously you've kind of followed in those footsteps. When was your very first encounter where you were either doing a renovation or building a new home where something off kilter happened? Like, how long ago does that memory go back for you?
The first, well, the first time I was aware of it was probably sort of 1992, 3, 4, somewhere in there.
It's a while ago.
Oh yeah, I'm ancient. The thing was, we bought this house, and it was a wartime home, little story and a half, small, but it was great. Like, I just thought it was awesome. You know, it was a good place to start. Had a garage. I was a really happy guy, and the bathroom was very tiny, but it worked. It was fine, right? So there was always, they had above the mirror, they had the two lights, right above the mirror, and they're on the same circuit, but one light would always do this, would always flicker, and I'm just like, it's annoying, right? Trying to shave is
Oh yeah.
just doing stuff, right? So finally, I took the thing off, right? Took it off, put a nice 4-1 on, 4 lights on it, beautiful, brand new, changed the switch, perfect. And the next day I'm in there, you know, and the bulb at the end. And it was like, fair enough. Okay. So obviously you're trying to get my attention, whoever you are. See, again, it's like, I know there's something there, but I can't sort of go like, I know what it is. So I'm like, look, guy, maybe this was your house. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I don't know who you are, but I'm going to call you John, and you're annoying. Okay. So if you want to share space with me, stop being annoying, and don't upset my kids, because that'll be a one-way ticket. That'll be really bad for you. So, you know, things kind of settled down for a while, and every once in a while I would just look at the light and like, and it would stop. Right. And then one day, my kid, my youngest one, you know, he was, at the time, he would have been like, I don't know, 4. He was in the living room, and he was coloring or doing Lego, whatever he was doing at that moment. He was a very self-contained kid. It was very easy to look after. And I come walking in, and I had a pedestal light in the corner, and he's trying to do stuff, and the lights flickering like this, right? And I'm looking at the light, and he looks at me. He's like, Dad, why does the light keep flicking? I'm like, oh, Steve, I don't know. I just think someone's really being rude right now. That's what I said, right? And it stopped, went in the bathroom, closed the door. I'm like, John, I'm telling you for the last time. You do that again, and I don't know how, but I will get rid of you. I promise you. Yeah. And I never had a problem with that person ever again.
Wow.
Yeah. I meant business. I was like, I don't know how to do it, but I will move heaven and earth to find out how to do it. So that was the very first sort of thing I was doing in there. And after that, everything kind of just settled down. You know, the main stuff. I'm trying to think if there was something else I was happy. There was a house I bought after that. It was just a transition home, just a really quick one. And I did a bunch of really quick stuff in there, but like my cat saw something in there that just wigged him, and I never knew what it was. Like, but I remember there was a long hallway on the second floor that went from one end to the other, and my kid was at one end and I was at the other end. By this time they're in high school and they're teenagers. So big gap between experiences. And one night, like they were like this all the time with one another, right? You know, 2 boys. One's artistic, one's rough and tumble. So they just like all the time.
It's always that way.
So, you know, one night I hear like boom, 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 boom down the hallway, right? And boom, 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 boom down the hallway. Boom, 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 boom after him, right? I'm like, I got to get up in the morning. Someone's about to die, right? You know what I mean? It's like, I hear him go back down the hallway, and then they turn around, and I'm at the door now, and I hear this crashing coming down the hallway. I rip the bedroom door open. I step right onto the hallway with my hand like this to like basically grab them, and there was no one there.
No way.
No one there at all. Nothing. I walk down the hallway to my youngest son's room, and he's just like sawing logs, cat sleeping on his chest. And I'm like, So I go back the other way. And maybe I heard Mr. Rock and Roll at the other end, you know. So I go back there, and he's out cold, you know, passed right out, books on the floor, you know, lights still on. I was just like, what the hell did I hear? I didn't realize until like much later, like when I was getting ready to go do that Vampyre theatrical park thing, and I had this really long black trench coat on, and I pull my hair out and put the big coat on, and I walked down the stairs, and my cat looked up the stairs at me coming down the stairs, and he just puffed right out and flew underneath the coffee table, which was like about this big from the floor. Like, Right, he wedged himself under there and was just looking out at me. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? What's happening? Right? He wouldn't come out. I had to lift the table to get, and he was gone. Like he was straight up the stairs and like didn't want anything to do with me. I took the coat off, and he was okay again. So that made me wonder: did he see what I didn't know at the time? Maybe was he seeing a shadow person? Was he seeing?
Mm.
And when I looked like this thing when I put the long trench coat on, did he think like, oh
Could
shit, it's
be,
back?
yeah. 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 Was it a
Yeah.
new coat or did it belong to someone else?
I was 20 years old, 25 years old. It wasn't ancient by any means, not by any means, but you don't know who lived in it before.
No, you don't.
Just don't know what happened in there, right? So it was
Exactly.
the house that I got the most activity was that we talked about is the manor house in Niagara Falls, big Victorian place, beautiful, that I bought. And it was a mess when I bought it. It was a disaster, and it was the bricks were painted blue and the trim was white and yellow. It was just horrible. And it was all split up into apartments, and then it was split up into bed and breakfast, little rooms and things like that. It was in rough shape. The guy had no taste in color. I mean, each to their own. But my kitchen had black and green tile floors. The cabinets were like a honey maple. The counters were bright yellow, and the walls were fuchsia. That was the kitchen. Like, it's just wow. It'll wake you up in the morning when you walk in there. I'll tell you. But yeah, that was the first time, I went in there and I knew it needed work, but it was all at once, Caroline. Like it literally was like things were happening at such a pace. It was just, you start off to fix a leaky tap, and the next thing you know, we've got the entire bathroom torn out because all the joists are rotted, and it was just one thing after another after another. And the story from the bathroom, which I've told before, but there was a wall that it went like this down between the rooms. And when I took it all apart, it was made of skids, made of pallets, right? Wooden pallets, just all nailed together. Like you didn't even buy 2x4, you just slapped this thing together and put drywall over it. It was terrible, just awful. I remember pulling all that stuff off, and I'm just like this. I was like, oh my God, what next? What next, right? And my dad used to smoke a pipe, and he smoked this tobacco called Amphora Red. And when I was a little kid, I used to think that was the color of what red smelled like. When you smelt the pipe, that's what red smells like. It had an aroma, right? Anyway, I'm standing there, and my dad, being English, like whenever he looked at a job that what he would call a complete bodge, which was like just a disaster, right? Like who bodged this, right? Like what a bodge job. And I'm looking at this thing, and I could smell the Amphora Red come all around me, and I could just feel him there. And whenever he looked at something like that, he would hold his pipe, take a big long haul on that pipe. And then as he expelled the smoke, he would go, huh. That's all he would say. Like he didn't swear. I never heard my dad swear. Like he never said a bad word in his life. Hardcore guy, but just like never an F-bomb, never an S, nothing.
Yeah.
So he would just do that and let you know how dismayed he was. And from behind, I'm looking at this thing going, well, Dad, what do you think of that? And from behind me, I heard, huh.
No way.
Yeah, exactly like that. And I was just like, yeah, me too. Me too. That was that. So that was the first introduction to ghost in my house, because he'd never been at that house. Not ever had he been at that house. He never knew it. He never knew I bought it. He had died maybe 4 years before I bought that house. So it was trippy, really trippy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
especially when you hear stuff like it's so unnerving, because your other senses are not like cooperating with it. So, you're hearing a sound and you're expecting to see something or feel something, and it's just so unnerving. So
it can be, but like there's what I tell people, like, how do you sleep in that house? I go, because it feels really comfortable.
Yeah.
Like whatever was there was sweet. I mean, I'm not buying that house. I mean, you ever been in an old attic in the summertime? You smell that dry, dusty, that old smell.
Yeah.
When I was buying that house, I'd been there like, I don't know how many times to look at it, and I drove the agent crazy. I want to see this. I want to see that. I want to do this. I want to do that. But anytime I was outside the house, I could smell that. and you shouldn't be able to smell that outside.
No.
It's that old smell. And I
Yeah.
always got a sense of a woman in that house, always. And I remember one time I was looking at the house, I'm getting ready to go, and I always said that house gave up its voice more times than anything else. And I
Mm.
not with my ears, but within the process of the sound going past your ears into the electronics that, control your brain, right?
Yeah.
Literally heard a female voice say, "You're not leaving, are you?"
Oh,
And it was so sad. It was just like, "Oh, oh." And all I could say was, I'm there in the walkway looking up at this house, and I'm like, "I'll be back. I'll be back. I promise you." He just like, "Sorry, what'd you say?" "No, I'm talking to you."
now
It's all
that
good.
was the manner
Yes, man.
that wow.
Yeah, because it was built, and I found all this out later. The house was built for the lady of the family to entertain in. Long sordid story there. That's a whole nother show just for that. But she was wonderful. She was really wonderful to deal with. She was great, and they had kids, all kinds of stuff there. And but I had a bottle of mousse, like hair mousse, because I was still acting at that time, right? So I was sitting on the night table, and it's a tin, right? So it's you shake it up and it gets all foamy inside, right?
Yeah.
But if you took your fingernails and you ran it on the tin, because it had gel in it, it kind of was it wouldn't make a ding 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 ding. It would go like a ding 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 because it had gel in it, right?
Yeah.
So one night I'm getting into bed. I'm in bed and I'm getting ready to sleep, right? Cats are around and doing their thing, right? And I hear that sound, that
Hmm.
the little reverb on the can, right? And so I'm like, move the can, right? Maybe the cat, something like that. I'm very logical, right? I don't just fly into flights of it's a ghost,
Yeah.
But it kept doing it and doing it, and it was so annoying, And I finally just grabbed the can, I slammed it down the can. I'm like, look, I know you're fascinated with it, but I need you to leave it alone. You can play with it all day tomorrow, right? But I need to sleep. And if you don't, I'm going to put it away. And it stopped. Never a problem.
It's so interesting. I heard so many stories like that. Like when you try to, I mean, some don't listen to that at all, to that kind of reasoning, and
Mhm.
some do. Some spirits do.
Yeah, it depends on who they are and what they
Yeah,
are.
it does. And, they take their personalities with them.
They do.
So, yeah.
They do. I mean, when I would talk to the lady at the house, I always got a favorable response or feeling. Like, I mean, like I said, most times I didn't hear her say anything, you know. But the second generation gentleman, like it was the first guy was James Sr. The second guy was James Jr. and his son was James Jr. So when you're trying to talk to a James in that house, good luck,
Oh, gosh.
right? So anyway, like whenever I was doing stuff, this guy, this which I figured out was James Jr. Whatever I got from him was always just very like very staunch. And the thing I heard most of all was like, "Where's your people?"
Mm.
Because I'm the owner of the house. And I'm putting baseboards in and I'm running pipes and I'm pulling all the electrical cable through and I'm tearing out walls. And where's your people, man? Where's your people?
Wow.
Because he wouldn't have done that. He wasn't. He was a banker, insurance guy. Like he was big money guy. He wouldn't do that stuff himself. And he was very just almost arrogant with me, like
Mm.
so I would hold meetings in the house. So I would just say, "Hey everybody, this is Wayne." I said, I got to do some work in the dining room tomorrow. So can we just gather around in the parlor? I want to talk to y'all. And I said, so tomorrow I got a couple guys coming in. We're going to tear the whole ceiling out. It's going to be a big mess, but we have to because it's coming down and I need to fix it. So don't panic. I'm going to fix it. Don't worry if you see a lot of dust and stuff. It's just me making it better. Okay. And it was always pretty well received. And I never had problems with like people say, oh, my tools went missing. I couldn't find the screws.
Yeah.
I never had stuff like that. Not ever, not one time. Never, but I'll tell you, the one thing when I tore that whole ceiling out, I found something that was whoever did the work back in 1887 was a real bodger. And
Ugh.
they were hired to do this work, but they cut right through a load-bearing wall.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
there was a 5x5 piece of hemlock that went across a span of about 14 feet that held up the second floor, and they took that all out. And they cut right through that beam. And I used to look at that and go, how the hell did this house not fall down?
Yeah.
Like,
How did it?
it blew my mind. I'm looking at my pal at the time. I'm just like, what's holding it up? He goes, well, it's obvious. I'm like, what am I missing here? It's obvious. He goes, it's the air. The air, yeah, pretty much. There's nothing else holding it. That guy, that James Jr. guy, his attitude completely changed with me at that point. Completely. Because he's now looking at what he probably paid top dollar for that could have ended that house.
Jeez.
And everybody in it. And I remember talking to him in what then would have been his office. And I just said, Mr. Bamfield, sir, look at it this way. He said, I don't understand the first thing about what you did regarding banking, your insurance dealings, all the stuff that I don't know about that. That's why you hired a guy, right, to do it, right? Don't beat yourself up on it, right? We'll fix it. That's what we do. And after that, I never got, where's your people?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Don't they do like inspections after you do construction or buy a house?
Not back then.
Not back
Not
then.
back
Yeah.
then. There was no building code, man. They drew it, dug a hole, put a foundation in, put the walls up, and made the rooms fit.
Jeez.
Literally, that's how they did it back then.
It's funny. I always had a rule that throughout my marriage, I always told my husband whatever house we buy has to be new, because I just refuse to buy a house with somebody else's, not only physical problems, but spiritual ones too. So, and I always thought, hey, like when I bought this house, I thought, good to go. Walked in, everything felt great. And then for like 3 or 4 years, every time I'd go up the stairs, I felt someone behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And it would drive me nuts. It would only happen on the staircase. And it got scary where I would like scurry up the stairs because it didn't feel great,
No.
And then one day I did kind of what you do. I just turned around and I spoke to it and I said, you got to stop following me up the stairs. Like, go before me, go after me, but let me get up there first. And then oddly enough, not long after that, it just kind of stopped. Yeah. So maybe you're right that like reasoning with them does work at times, right?
If they're open to it. I mean, it's their house. I mean, let's face it. It was in the same family from 1872 to 1969. And then in 1969, whoever took it over turned it into apartments. They ruined it. They took out all the character, everything that was beautiful left. So now the next guy comes in and paints it all this gauche color and takes even more beauty out of the thing. And now I'm coming in going, hey, I'm going to change it. They're just like, boop, 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 boop. They've seen enough change to last them an eternity and they hate it. Right. So, that's when I come in and go, no, I'm going to fix it. And they start seeing what I'm actually doing and taking the time to like, well, this isn't where the original wall was. And this wasn't where this was. And this wasn't where that was. And, oh, there was an extension on here. Oh, there used to be a circular driveway. Okay. This was an overhang. And I'm finding all this stuff out and I'm bringing it into the light. Like we found boarded up windows. We found servant staircases that were filled in. Just brutal. Just gone, terrible loss, things, beautiful doors they just shoved into the walls and nailed them in because they needed something to screw cupboards to,
And this was all at the manor?
Yeah. I brought all that back out and cleaned it all up and put all the proper trim back in. I mean, even the door frames and moldings, you can't buy that anymore.
No,
it's like this big, you can't get it. So I went to a place and I had to make it. Had to make this stuff. I had to wait, I don't know, like 13 weeks for this stuff. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty price. I cried.
I'll bet.
But when I brought it in and I tore all this stuff out and those little thin moldings that they just slapped on for apartments, and I started putting this stuff up, you could actually feel the energy in the parlor going up and up and up because they're looking, going, well, that's how it was. That's where it should be. Michelle brought in a pendulum one time and showed me how it worked because I'm just like, no clue. And so she goes, this is yes and this is no. So ask your questions. I'm like, okay. So was there a door here? Yes. Okay. This door here is not supposed to be here. No. Was there a door here? Yes. Did this used to be the kitchen? Yes. Right. Was there a door here? Yes. Can I open this up? Yes. Is the broken door that's in the basement, was that the door that was on this frame? Yes. Okay, there we go. It answered everything I wanted. Everything that I felt it should be, that woman answered for me. And the
Wow.
funny thing was, Carol Ann, is before I bought that house, I had a historical home inspector, not like some kid out of high school. This guy was an older gentleman that came in with a reputable firm, and they went through and they told me everything I was concerned about, but they missed a lot simply because there was so many changes done over the
Yeah.
last 40 years.
Did you have the floor plans like the original? No, you didn't have them either.
No, we went to the Historical Society, which was as much good as they were a pain in my butt. And they said any blueprints that would have they had a fire in Niagara in the archives building, and it disappeared. And interestingly enough, that happens a lot to the archive buildings, and that brings up the whole topic of Tartaria, which is another show.
Exactly.
Funny how all the archive buildings burn, but
oh yeah, such a coincidence.
That's a big one. But yeah, I couldn't find anything, and the Historical Society and I, we locked horns a lot of times over that house because they have their thoughts on it, and sometimes their thoughts are right and sometimes they are wrong, and that's the end of that. So well, how do you know, Mr. Mallows? How do you know? I don't know, the spirit told me. That goes over well.
Yeah. It's so interesting, like you'll watch on TV how historians like find thousands and hundreds of different concealed objects in houses, like things like shoes that were intentionally put there. Like archaeologists found all these shoes from the 1600s through the 1800s because shoes carry the shape and scent of the human body, and people believe that spirits might be drawn to them and become trapped and instead like haunt the living, right? Have you ever seen shoes anywhere? And no,
not in that house. No, I mean, I had to resign myself to the fact that because it was bought by someone who was converting it to an apartment, they would have picked that house clean, top to bottom. They would have been looking for anything. Like I never found anything. I mean, the only thing that I came across was a sewing thimble that was outside, under what would have been outside. And it was closed in, and I found that while I was putting pipes in, and it promptly disappeared as soon as I had it in my hand. Like I was holding it in my hand. I showed it to my buddy Rob, who was feeding me these big iron pipes. I'm like, do you see that? And he's like, yeah, what is it? I said, it's a thimble. Looks like it's a silver thimble. I was like, oh, cool. And the floor was all sand, right? And there, it's a crawl space. I'm literally going through like this, right? And so I put it in my hand, got it, right? And I went through and got to the other end, and now I'm there. I put all the pipes down and put all my tools down, and now I'm going to put it into a zipped pocket, right? And I open my hand, it was gone.
I know, that's mind-blowing.
It was completely gone.
Did you trace back your steps to see if you dropped it?
Yep.
And it wasn't nothing.
You could see the fist prints in the ground where because I never opened my hand once. So yeah, she was like, oh my God, I've been looking at that for eons. Thanks. It was gone. Lickety boo, it was gone.
Is that the biggest renovation job that you've worked on? Was in the manor?
12 years. 12-year job.
Oh, wow.
It was intense. It was so intense. It was just like there was something breaking or falling off that house every single week, to the point where I was just like, make it stop. You got to make it stop. I can't keep up with it. It was so brutal, so brutal. And it's trying to figure out which came first was the hardest thing for me. It was like, there was this little bump out on the back of the house that I made into a bedroom eventually, but I knew it was a garage. You could tell it was a garage at one time. But when I opened it up and I gutted it out, what I found really interesting was the original walls only were like 4 feet tall. They were 4 feet. That was it. And there was no foundation, nothing. It was just built on the dirt, right? So that had to all go. But what I found was interesting was it was a corral, a little 20 by 19 corral to keep the animals in, the donkeys and horses or whatever else they had, right? Because they were building a house, so you needed to keep your animals. So they built this corral, right? And because what had happened was I was taking the paneling off, and then the drywall, and then the plaster lath, and this thick of garbage on top. And then I couldn't understand, like, the nails that held everything together came in from the back. Well, the house is here. How'd you get a nail in? There's a
Mm,
brick wall here. How did you get a nail behind a brick wall? So I realized that had to be there first, and they built the
right.
house up to it.
Wow.
So that's what was the footprint. That's where it started from. So the workers, the horses, everything, the donkeys, their tools were in this little corral. And then when they finished it, they made it a garage. They built on top of the 4-foot wall, and then they went up, right? And then they put a brick veneer on the outside of it to make it look like part of the house. It was the first part, not the last part. It was
Right.
so mind-blowing to me. And there was this cutout. It was really wild. There was this door, and there was this cutout that looked like a top hat,
Yeah.
and my buddy Rob's like, he goes like, why would they do that? Like, why would they cut that part out of this big opening? I'm like, you ever see a carriage, Rob? You ever see a personal carriage, not a buckboard carriage, but a personal one? They had the really high roofs, right? That's what went through there. They cut it out to get the roof through. And from behind me, I heard a woman go, exactly right.
No way.
Exactly right. There was always rose perfume when her name was Margaret Banfield, lovely. And whenever she was around, there was a rose perfume. Beautiful. She just buzzed right past you. Beautiful smell. Gorgeous. And one day we were in that back garage working up the top, and scaffolding up. It had 14-foot ceilings, right? So we scaffold up and running cable and whatever, putting drywall up. And we had our back to the door, to the
Yeah.
back of the house. And we were up like this and doing stuff. And I hear this woman behind me go, hello.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm just like, hey, come in, watch your step. Because often we had people come in from across the road where the church was. They were always interested in what we're doing. And we put it up, it screws in. And I turn around, there's no one there. And I'm like, did you hear that? He goes, yeah. It was a woman that said hello. Down the ladder, out the back door to the backyard. There's no one. But that smell was there. There was no one there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel anything maniacal
Oh,
while
yeah.
doing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was that first November there where I got pinned down in the bed. That was,
Oh,
yeah, that was not cool. That was my first introduction to really nasty nonsense. I didn't like that. That was garbage. I mean, the leading up to that, I had a really bad, vivid dream of being in the basement. And the basement's weird because it was added onto and added onto and added onto, and there's crawl spaces, and it's a mess. It's not like a basement you could ever make into a rec room. It's just a place where the furnace is and all your mechanical stuff is down there. That's it. And it's cool because they had all the pulleys up in the ceilings. I never knew what they were for, and I finally figured out they ran chains through the pulleys. So you could in the kitchen, you could pull the chain and it would open the dampers up in the coal-fired furnaces. It was wild. It was crazy. But in that basement, I remember having a dream, and I was by the servant stairs where they would have been, and I went to turn around and walk, and someone grabbed the back of my shirt and was trying to pull me back into that space.
oh,
It was so vivid. I woke up just like in a lather, and that was leading up to that whole experience. But yeah, I woke up and they're in the middle of the night, and it was the room's dark normally, and my cat with no voice is screaming. Like I never even heard him make a meow, right? And he's just like like this. I'm just like, okay, all right. In my mind, I'm trying to get a grip on what's going on, right?
yeah.
So I go to my instinct is to reach out because he would sleep by my knee, right? And I would just reach out and it's okay, buddy, settle down, we're fine, you're fine, right? But I couldn't move. I
Oh,
couldn't move at all. I was just like, logic Wayne. Logic Wayne says, oh, you just woke up too quick, brother. You just got sleep paralysis. You just, relax, just take a breath. You'll be fine. And so I look over like this at the wall, and that's where I was introduced to Darker Than Dark,
yeah.
right? Which I used to laugh
Thing.
at the ghost shows. How can you see darker than dark? If you're in a black room, you see
Yeah.
darker than dark. Well, I saw it. And I had that house had 10-foot ceilings, and that thing filled the entire corner of the ceiling right to the top. And it was huge thing. And I'm just like, ooh, that's really bad. And then I realized I can't breathe. I can't take a breath. So I'm just
Great.
like, oh yeah, I am pinned to the bed. I can't breathe. I got a giant beside me. My cat's losing his marbles. So I'm just trying to work through this, right? With all of that going on, right? And I'm finally just like, I get so angry that my cat's upset, that I push through it. And I can't say what I said, but I blew a gasket. And
Yeah.
that's what it's like, get up, right? So I
Yeah.
get up, I get out of bed. He's like, boom, out the door,
Yeah.
skids through the bathroom into the kitchen. And I walk through the kitchen, and his name was Sean. I'm like, Sean, relax, take a pill, right? Relax. It's okay. You're all right. It's all right. And he's like down on the ground. He's looking between my legs to see into the room. And he's like fluffed up and
Roughed up.
screaming. Oh, yeah. He's just totally upset. And I'm like, all right. Enough of that. I've had it. So, as Michelle always says, you never challenge it, but you take back your space. Right.
Yes.
So I'm like, all right. I've got goosies just thinking about this. I really do. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So
Wayne.
I walk back in. I got a canopy bed up, and it's all topped out nice, and it's a beautiful room. I walk in there, and I got crown moldings like this big around the room. They're pretty large. And so I walk in, and I'm just like, look, whatever you are, whoever you are, you're not invited. This is my space, my sanctuary. You're not invited. Get the out right now. Like, move it. Like, you're not welcome here. Beat it. So I walk around the bed, and I'm looking all around. The lights are on now. Like, it's not like it's dark anymore. And I see on the crown molding that on the molding, right? And I look up at it, and at first thought, because it's November, is I think it's one of those really big moths that we get sometimes in the Niagara region. They're like the size of a grapefruit. They're big. They're
Wonderful.
really big. They're beautiful things. So I thought, okay, that's the two wings I'm seeing up on. I'm all calm now. I'm thinking, oh, that's what I saw. Okay. Cat's freaking out because it's huge, right? I'm okay now. This is good. Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at it, and it's not a butterfly, and they're round, and they're orange, and they got black slits in the middle, and they blink at me really slow. And I looked at that for a minute, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, not a butterfly. It's blinking. Their eyes. It can see me. I'm just like, get out, like that, right? And it was like, gone. Oh my God, Carolyn, I was so rattled. I was shaking when I was walking, shaking, physically shaking. And Michelle always said, she wasn't living there at the time. She's just like, look, if you ever have a problem at that place, because she'd done the initial investigation at that house, which was mind blowing. I was blown away at that house, crazy stuff. And she said, if you have a problem, just text me. I'm up 24 hours. Like, I'm on call for all my different people that I help and stuff. I'm like, okay. Like, I would never call anybody at 3:00 in the morning. There's no way.
Yeah.
I'm in the parlor in the chair with my back to the wall, and I got the cat sitting on my lap, and he's shaking and I'm shaking. And, I'm trying to type, no talk to text back then. I'm just like, hey, it's me. Sure. I got a real problem here. I need help now, and there's nothing. She doesn't respond. So I send about 3 or 4 texts, nothing. Right. So I call her, and it goes right to voicemail. Hi, you've Michelle. I can't take your call right now. Thank you very much for your call. And I'm just like, hey, it's me. I got a problem. A big one. I need your help. Seriously, I'm in trouble here. And when she called me at 7:30 in the morning, said, all your messages and phone calls are all coming in, boom, 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 boom at once. They weren't coming in on time at all. So yeah, she came down, and she's like, yeah, whatever it was here was not pleasant, but it's gone now. So I just want to make sure, wrap it up in a big ball of light, and you'll be fine. I'm like, thanks.
So this thing was controlling your electronics even back then.
100% it was. Yeah, it wasn't letting anything go through.
Wow.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
this thing, did this morph into that moth-like creature that was, you saw it morph into this thing?
No, what I saw was this black shape in the corner, which I didn't see any eyes, because I remember I couldn't move. All I could do was turn my head to the side, right? And all I saw was darker than dark in the corner. I didn't see all the way to the top, but I knew how big. I mean, this thing took up the whole corner. And the room was kind of L-shaped because there used to be a door that went outside to the side veranda. The veranda used to wrap around, and that's where they used to bring the groceries in, back in the day. You didn't go to the grocery store. You they brought them to you in a wagon, and they would bring them in through the side door.
Wow.
Most farmhouses would have that as well. You'd have the main door, then you'd have
Yeah.
the side door off the front that the groceries and whatever else were brought in, right? So that's what that was for. This thing filled up that entire space. It was massive. But when I came around the corner of the bed, I didn't see the massive shape anymore. All I saw was the eyes up on the molding. And I can only use the molding as a measurement of how big they were. So picture your biggest red grapefruit. That was it. 2 of those. Massive.
Oh,
And the lead up to that was, again, now I'm aware, but back then I wasn't aware that the house was really quiet. I could live there. I was by myself, right? Of course it's going to be quiet unless I'm raging about something or the cat's carrying on. But the cat didn't have a voice. So the way I describe it to people that have never experienced this, it's like when your kids go to school for the first time
yeah.
and there's nothing in the house.
Right.
There's no pitter patter of feet. There's no like, you got my toy, put it down, Mama. There was nothing. It was just really very quiet. And then it got really cold. The house got really cold. Not that I could see my breath. It wasn't like movie stuff, right? But I'm like, wow, it's really cold in this house. And it was my 3rd year being there. And it's like, doesn't seem normal, but it's really cold outside too. I'll just put the heat up. It's not clicking that there's something building in the house. Right?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, because I didn't have any spirit activity. I didn't have any, the usual spirity kind of things like footsteps on the stairs. There was no door creaking open and closing. There were not all disappeared. I'm thinking they were just like, oh, look at this dark thing coming in the house. We're out. And I think that's what was leading up to it.
Wayne, did you ever have any other experiences? I know Michelle did what she did, thank God, but did you have any other negative experiences there, or was
Nope.
that just the end? It was that.
That was the end.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, she called it a drive-by.
Thank Michelle for that.
Yeah, she goes, it's a drive-by. And I'm like, what's a drive-by? And she goes, it's not connected to the house. It just went by, picked up on your light or the light of the spirits and was just like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to check it out. And it came.
See, Wayne, that I don't like that at all.
No. I didn't like it one bit either.
No good. Yeah.
But see, my spirits were very, they were so respectful. I mean, I had a really nice bathroom in the back of the house on the 2nd floor before I really started doing the reno work. That was probably the nicest room. And that's where the main shower was. So it's like, it had a taller everything. I'm big, right? So I like the tall shower. So I'm in there having a shower, doing what normally people do. And I heard that the door to the bedroom go.
Wonderful sound.
Yep. And I'm just like, But again, I'm used to the house. I'm used to the spirits, right? It's like, pull the shirt kind of back. And it's, I know it's a kid. I know it is. I can't see it. But my eyes are drawn down. They're not drawn adult to adult, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking down, not up, right? And the cat wasn't allowed to go to the 2nd floor at all. So he was locked away. So I know it's not him. So I'm looking out at this thing and I'm like, hi, private time, okay? Thanks. And I watch the door just close and I'm like, thank you. That was it. That's how generally it was at the house. It was really neat. I mean, I had one gifted lady staying there and she had problems. She's just like, oh, I don't like horses. I don't like horses, scare me. I probably died on a horse in a previous life. And she's like, I know there used to be horses out here in the Borns and stuff. I still feel them. Anyway, she comes downstairs, sometime around 7, 8 o'clock, not really late, summertime, still late outside. And she's like, I talk to you for a minute. I'm like, sure. There's a woman in my room. And she said, it's her room. I'm like, a woman. She's like, oh, no. It's just a spirit person. But she won't listen to me. I told her it's my room. And she said, no, it's my room. She says, can you talk to her? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
I go upstairs, walk in there. I don't see anybody, but that room used to be the servants' quarters. Right. So I walk in and I'm like, hi, good evening. I said, look, I'm really sorry to put on you like this. I said, but we have guests in the house tonight and we're short beds. Would you do me a favor? Could you go down to the garage? We've got it set up down there. There's a bed down there and there's a Chesterfield down there and there's a fireplace. You'll be comfortable, right? I just need you to give up your room for this one night. I'm sorry. I really appreciate it. And you could hear the footsteps go across the floor to where the old servant stairs used to be. And they're not, well, they're there, but they're buried. But there used to be a wall there with a door, and you could hear that door creak open and then close again, and you could hear the steps go down the stairs. The guy I was hanging with at that time, he was just like, like, did you hear that? I'm like, yeah, I heard it. I heard it. So I went back downstairs and I said to the lady, I said, she said she'll give up the room for the night. So you're cool. You can go back in there. She came down to breakfast. Said, I had a great sleep. Thanks for getting rid of her. She was lovely, but she wasn't going to give up the room.
Oh, I totally believe that.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Who lives there now? Did you ever hear any stories coming from the owners, the current owners, of anything happening? Or
I actually sold the house to the neighbor. She loved it.
oh, no way.
She bought the house next door to me, which was probably 10 years older than that house. And she had an accident happen at her house when she was away, and a car lost control and went right through her kitchen and just blew the kitchen up. And I went over in January and shut the water off and shut the heat off and pumped all the water out and patched all the pipes up. The insurance guy came over and, he's just like, you did all this? I said, well, yeah, that's what I do. Right. So it's my neighbor. I take care of people. Right. And so he goes, well, send me the bill. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I send him a bill for $188. And he's like, $188 for all that. I'm like, well, I had everything, and it was 4 hours, and it's my neighbor. Like, what do you want from me? Like, just cover my time and my stuff. Like, that's all. Like, I'm not here to gouge you.
Funny.
So that's how it goes, right? Anyway, so she watched me rebuild her kitchen. She paid me to rebuild her kitchen, right? And all that stuff. And I didn't have the time for it. But again, she's stuck. What do you do, right? It was during that time in our lives a few years ago where, you couldn't go out and you couldn't get people to come in and everyone was panicking. So I would go over and do it all for her, right? And what ended up happening was she would come over and watch me do the work on this house. And she's just like, oh, if you ever want to sell it, I'll buy this house. I love this house, And a lot of people say that, but then you say, I'm going to sell it. Well, I don't have money. It happened to me more times than with cars. I want to buy your car. Okay, it's for sale. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
As soon as I said it was for sale, she's like, how much? I told her the price. She's like, okay, let me get my lawyer.
Wow.
Oh, I should have gone higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, she has it as an Airbnb now. And the only thing that she says to me about it sometimes is her guests say the house is very mysterious. But I've never had
word.
No.
So maybe they are experiencing things and just not saying,
or they don't know how to say,
right?
They don't know how to say it, right? They don't know how to put it into words. A lot of people are very logical. They don't believe in ghosts. Well, the door opened. Well, Mildred, it's an old house. Don't worry about it. It's just creaking.
Yeah.
You don't know, right? So,
what about things that you put down, like your tools, and then they disappear? That stuff like that drives me nuts.
Never
You
happened.
never had like things you put down. Doesn't have to be a tool. Could be anything.
No, it's hard because my memory's so bad right now. It's brutal. Like, it's brutal. I can't put anything down to the supernatural. With my brain being what it is. I mean, I remember one house I walked around at, like that first house I did where John was there with the lights flickering. We put a whole second floor on that thing. And I was upstairs putting the subfloor down before we put the hardboard in. And I went up there and I nail it down and I put screws in afterwards, right? So that's how I do things so it doesn't squeak. And you put baking powder between it, right? So not baking powder, baby powder between them. So then they don't squeak, right? Little things you learn. Yeah. But anyway, I come downstairs and I'm upset. And my partner then said to me, she goes, what is wrong with you today? Like, what's going on? I can't find my hammer. Like, I looked all over for it. I went downstairs to get some nails. I brought more nails up. My hammer's not there. It's not there. I went back downstairs. I can't find, it's not downstairs, and she looks at me and she starts laughing. I'm like, it's not funny. Like, I only got so many hours of daylight left and I can't find it. Right. And she looked at me, she goes, it's in your left hand.
Oh, jeez.
I hammer with my right. But I guess I picked it up in my left. Right. I'm walking around like a raging idiot. right? And being loose for the darker entities because they're just
Right.
dining out on that, right? And they're not going to tell me it's in my left hand. I looked at my hand and it's like, you're an idiot.
Oh, that's funny.
You're an idiot. So yeah, like so stuff like that. I mean, like we had tools go missing. They were stolen. We had that happen one night. And I was really upset about that. And the
Oh
police said
my God.
they've been casing the place because they knew when you went out, and they just got
Oh, of
all your
course.
and they were there long enough. They were selective. Like they left the old stuff and took the brand new stuff.
Of course. Of
You know,
course,
I
Wayne.
just most people would just grab and go, but they didn't,
Yeah.
right?
Michelle said that the spirits were sad to see you leave. And I believe that too, that,
Yeah,
they develop attachments to you and a level of comfortability
they did.
with you in there. Did you feel that at
I
all with
did.
them?
Yeah, I felt like I was abandoning them. I didn't like that feeling at all. Like I mean, at one point before that, I I said to her about this and she goes, "It's just a house, dear."
Who said this?
The ghost person, the lady of the house, Margaret. She goes, "It's just a house, dear. That's all." Right? But I know it was her love. It was built for her. And the one thing that annoyed me though, towards the end, and Michelle can contest to this because I was starting to lose my, you know, because I was working around the clock. I was tired, I was putting a new kitchen in and getting it all done because the kitchen was dated. I wanted a new kitchen put in there I mean, you're asking the kind of money you're asking. You want it to be perfect, top to bottom. Right?
Mhm.
I don't want a 1979 kitchen in there. So
Yeah.
we did that and I put it in. But I mean, like there was so many things going wrong. Like, I can plumb like the best of them. You know what I mean? Like, and it would be leaking. And finally I cut the whole pipe out and I took it apart and there was a line right through the solder that it can't possibly be there. It can't be. So finally I said to Michelle, I said, "You got to talk to them. You need to reach them somehow that, dropping paint on the floor and knocking stuff over. And I can't undo what is done, right? That we are moving. I cannot do this any longer. I'm getting older. I can't be going up 3 stories on ladders to do this stuff anymore. I just can't,
Yeah, absolutely.
and by you interfering with it, all you're going to do is create animosity in me. And I don't want that. And so she did, and we did, and things settled down. But I think it was just they didn't want me to go. So they were hampering the progress on the last projects. Understandable, but it made it very
Oh,
difficult.
I believe that totally. Yeah, I think they do attach to people, and it's not always like a maniacal haunting.
No, it
Um,
wasn't.
yeah,
I
there's a
knew
lot.
why.
Right, exactly.
I knew why.
So, do you
I
ever
mean,
think of walking back through the house?
I have.
Like,
I
oh,
have.
you have?
The current owner calls me back periodically because, they they're not mechanically inclined, right?
Oh, okay.
Like they're business people. They're just like James Jr., right? Like they have a problem. I mean, I get calls from them for a while there. I finally had to tell her, I said, like, I'm not 24/7 Wayne here. Okay. I sold the house for a reason. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I don't want to come back. It's in good shape. And, it's silly things. A lot of times I mean, she called me one day and she goes, "There's a broken window, a bird hit the window." And she goes, I called everyone before I called you. But she goes, "They want to sell me an entire new window. I just need the glass replaced. And it's lead glass. I can do that." Right. So I'm like, "Okay, I can come and do that for you." And she was so great. I mean, she's gracious and she pays well and it's nice and she's sweet. But I mean, there's other times where I get a call and she's just like, "Oh, I've got workers here and the power on the veranda doesn't work anymore." And I'm like, "Well, it's the breaker. Go down and throw the breaker." And she says, "They said they did that and it doesn't work." I'm like, "All right, look, I'm 20 minutes away. I'm just finishing up. I will swing by, but I'm telling you it's the breaker."
Yeah.
So I go up there and they're like, "No, we checked the breaker. We checked the breaker." And I'm looking what they've got on the veranda. And it's a 15 amp circuit, right? So I can have, argument's sake, 6 things on that breaker, right? And there's
Yeah.
4. I only have 4. I don't use the full 6. But they've got a massive circular saw on one and a massive tile cutter on the other. And if you run those at the same time, they're going to blow the breaker. So
Absolutely.
I said to the guys, "You running these at the same time?" "No, he cuts and I cut, blah, 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 blah." there's something wrong with the wiring, animals have chewed it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, it'd be hard pressed because it's in conduit. So I don't know how they would have chewed it. So I go
Oh,
downstairs, I walk to the panel, I see the veranda, I flick the breaker back, and power comes on.
oh.
And I look back at him, and the owner just glared at those guys. It's like,
I
because
think
she's,
that's the house, wanting a visit from you. So
well,
like,
it could be, but I mean, like, I
yeah,
don't like what they've
sounds
done to it.
that
I don't
way.
like what they've done, Carolyn. They've taken all the beautiful work that I've done, and
No.
they've put doors up, and they've blocked it off, and it's I have a banister, a circular staircase that went up, which was natural wood. It was mahogany or walnut, and they
Don't
painted it.
tell me.
They
They
painted
just
it.
they painted it?
They painted it all.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. So it's I walk through, and I'm like, I can't even look at it. I can't
Yeah.
even look at it. Breaks my heart. Breaks my
Well,
heart.
you have so many years invested in that and so much hard work. And not only that, you've developed connections to these spirits, and there's that whole thing too. So
Mhm.
it's absolutely understandable.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a beautiful home. It's Gothic revival architecture with Second Empire architecture that was built at the end of the Victorian period. It is just an anomaly. It's a complete anomaly. And as Michelle said, the house had a beacon for spirit. It just drew them in. It was wild. Like, we would have encounters, and Michelle be like, "Well, where are you from?" "Oh, I had an accident down the street. I just found the house."
wow.
It's just, and okay, well, you can't stay, you got to go. It was wild. It was really, really wild to live there. And we had great ghost box sessions, just fantastic. My dad came through a ghost box session, and it was
Well,
mind blowing to me. And my dad was staunch English. I used to call him mumbles. Nobody could understand him when he talked, because he was like, "Oh, tell me what's going on." I tell my girlfriends, if he laughs, just laugh, right? Just do
yeah,
that,
just follow.
and
My
yeah,
grandmother was like that. She had an Irish brogue that was just impossible to get. So
same. So, like,
yeah.
we had a ghost box session, and it was new, and I was interested in it. And I said to myself, "Can I talk to anybody?" She goes, "If they're here." And, like,
Wow.
I was such a noob, like such a noob. And compared to her, I'm still like such a noob. I'll never be there. And I'm okay with that. Totally okay with that. So I said, "Can I talk to my dad? Just if he's here, for sure." So I called out to his name was Roland. I said, "Roland, Dad, are you around? Like, are you here?" And you hear him like, "Yeah."
Oh,
And I'm just like, my hairs just went like
oh,
right up.
I'll
Like,
bet.
I'm like, "How are you?" Because he really suffered at the end. He's like, "I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." Like that, right? I'm like, Mom's going through a hard time right now. And he's like, "I know. I know she is. I know she is." And I'm like, she would really appreciate you being around. He goes, "I see her every day."
Oh,
Like that, right? I'm like, "Okay, fair enough." And I said, "Is the dog with you?" Because we had this dog, and she was a lab, and drove
oh,
him nuts, but he loved her. Drove
yeah.
him absolutely bonkers. But everything, that bloody dog, that bloody dog. That's all he would ever say, right? And I said, "Hey, Dad, is the dog with you?" And you hear him, no word of a lie, Caroline. He goes, "Yes."
Oh, that's funny.
Just like that.
That's so incredible.
It was him. There's nobody could tell me that was somebody mimicking him. That
Yeah,
was him
yeah,
to a T. Personality,
yeah.
voice, everything.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I heard when they mimic, they don't get it exactly correct.
Spot on. Spot on.
Right. That's like a great point.
Yeah.
So let's take the last few minutes and talk about your books. I'm going to put the link to the first interview we did, which
Sure.
was all about your books because you folks have to watch that. I don't
It was
think we
actually
talked
about the first one mostly. There's
the
3.
first one. I was just going to
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and you did mention that you were thinking about writing another book,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm in
Okay,
the
so
pro
what's happening with that?
nothing. It's stalled like usual. I created a meme which was pretty funny. It's Kermit the Frog looking at a darker version of himself with the hood and everything on it. And it says, "Me wanting to write a book, but the darkness whispering there's a bathroom that needs repairing."
Oh, jeez, that's
And
good.
that's me in a nutshell. Like I
Yeah.
wrote 13,000 words to a companion book for the third book. The third book is called Unnatural Selection, which is perfect
Mm,
for vampires. And but it does leaves a question because people go, well, what happened to, did she ever, like this sort of thing, right? And I'm like, yeah, I did leave that kind of open-ended because I knew that I was going to talk about that much later,
right.
and but I thought, I should just create a companion book just to close that. Just a small little novelette that you could get, and it would just talk specifically about her, what happens in the aftermath
Yeah,
of
yeah.
this incident, and what happens after that aftermath is concluded. Right. So that's where I'm at with that. And I'm probably 3/4 of the way through it at about 14,000 words. So I'd like to
That's
do
not
it.
bad.
I'd like to do it, but again, it's the timing. I got to get a proper word program. My computer's acting up funny, and every time I go to look for something, I don't like it. So we'll get there
I
eventually.
know. I know.
Get
I
there
know.
eventually.
I mean, I think when I have you back, we'll do the next book, which is
Mary,
what's the
Mary,
title?
Mary,
Right.
Mary.
Is that the love story part?
No, the love story is Unnatural Selections.
So that's the third one?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, maybe we could do 2 and 3.
Yeah, you can. I mean, the third book is massive. It's a huge book because
Oh, is it?
I don't, I, the problem for me in vampires is there's a formula, right?
Mm,
It's usually the young human woman falls in love with the
yeah,
ancient, handsome vampire and bop, 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 and the end. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted it real. I wanted it hard. I wanted it real. And it unfolds over World War I, which was brutal. And he's having problems being who he is and taking lives. And it
yeah.
comes up with a brand new plan. And he's got it all worked out. But what he doesn't count on is that plan not working
Right.
and meeting someone who also has a brand new plan and it's
Yeah.
not working for her either. But she sees something that she should never have seen, and she wants to know why.
Oh, that was in the hospital when something, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the hospital, and it's
Yeah.
a field hospital, so, a lot of
Yeah.
death, a lot of misery, a lot of
Oh,
struggle.
amazing. I mean, I see that, and I've told you that before as a movie, and I mean, I know how Hollywood is with the
Mhm.
Dracula stories, but
Yeah.
that would make an incredible series, even a TV series. It would totally do that.
Well, I
But
spent so much time trying to make it real, and when I used to do my talks and make it real, I want it real. Like, even in the second book, in Mary, Mary, it goes right up to modern day. Oh, thanks, Sherry. But I wanted it in modern day, whereas in the first book, it's historic. So I spent
yeah,
so much time in the history. So when you read it, you're actually there. You can actually go to these places and stand there, and it's exactly as I describe it.
amazing.
In the second book, I talk about it from modern standards. Like, when somebody died in Whitechapel back in the day, they didn't care.
Right.
If you were well-to-do, they'd care, but if you weren't, they didn't care, right? But now, somebody dies, doesn't matter what your status is, they're going to investigate it. And when they do the DNA test, it's like, problem.
Right.
Problem. So I'm dealing with a lot of police investigation, and they have dark humor because that's where you
Yeah.
get through life. You're dealing with mayhem and murder and
Oh
horrible
god.
situations. So you get through it by almost making light of it because you'd never go home at night. You
No.
wouldn't sleep. So
Correct.
you got these two in what they call inspectors, detectives, that are now on the case of this kid's murder. And it goes down the Big Dipper pretty quick. And one guy, though, the one inspector is a Ripper novice. Like, he likes it and he knows a fair bit about it, but he doesn't know everything about it. Right.
Right.
So he's just like, he's scratching his head and he's like, there's too many subtle coincidences. There's too many. There's just too many.
Well, Wayne, next time you come back on, which hopefully will be this summer, we're gonna have to
Anytime.
dig into those two. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime, I'm here for you.
Thank you, Wayne. This has been so much fun.
Thank you.
Um, amazing life, blessed life,
Thank
and
you.
continue rocking the world. You're doing great.
Yep.
Much love to you, Wayne.
Garbage and recycling is next. I'll rock it hard. Thanks,
Talk
everybody. Have a great
to you,
day.
friend. You too. Bye bye. Well, thank you all so much. Um, Absolutely amazing stories to live and learn by. And I always love talking to Wayne. He's one of those people that you just put your chin under your hand under your chin, and you just get lost in it all. That's how I feel. He just is such a great storyteller. So I could see why his books are amazing in the way that they are. And we're going to be talking about them soon. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to join us tomorrow, Thursday, March 19th at 6:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our time has changed from 5 to 6. So be sure and join us for that. I have a wonderful conversation, something that really touched me on a personal level. It's a book written by a woman. I can't pronounce her last name yet for the love of me, but her first name is Rhonda, thankfully. But I'll be sharing it all over social media. And the book is Burn and Brew, and we're going to talk about the ancient rituals of smoke and sip for modern healing. So, like, even when you have your morning coffee or your afternoon tea or whatever, these things are rituals in our lives, and there's so many of them, and they do bring healing and peace to us, and I love that topic. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Much love to you all in the chat. As always, stay blessed and stay safe. And of course, a big, huge thanks, as always, to United Public Radio Network. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for them, and we adore them. And thank you again, so many of you in the chat, for your commentary. And I love seeing you guys have discussions about what we're talking about too. So stay well, stay blessed. Peace out.